Hey everybody, Melissa here, the Unlikely Hiker. Hope everyone's doing really good today. So today, this is a follow-up video to these poles that I got earlier in the year. These are the Cascade Mountain Tech Z fold poles, not the super popular ones that they sell at Costco that I hear are pretty fantastic. Similar, but definitely different. And I thought I would talk about how they've lasted through the summer and why I did go ahead and get a new pair of black diamond poles. So earlier this year, my beloved black diamond distance FLZ poles did get broken. I left them laying in the snow at work and someone stepped on them and broke them completely. Let me see if I can show you here. I don't know if you can see that, but the metal actually fractured. Now, that's definitely my fault because they should not have been laying in the snow where somebody could step on them. So it was just outside of the return window for these. And this kind of pole is not really serviceable. It does not really have interchangeable parts except for the strap and the tip. Those you can replace. Other than that, it's just one unit. So when it fails, it unfortunately fails pretty decently. So I definitely was on a budget, but I was looking for some lightweight trekking poles that were Z-fold that I could use while backpacking. And I decided to try these out because they were almost as light as the Black Diamond Distance FLZ poles. And my first impression on these was actually really poor. I did make a video about that. I can link it down in the description if you want to check it out. Suffice it to say, I really was not impressed. They look quite sexy with the cork grip and they're all black. It's very nice. But what I didn't like about it is it was a combination of flick lock and twist lock technology, specifically here. You can see that that was loose right there. So these twist into place and then you loosen those so that you can fold it up and make it more compact. The flick lock here, it works fine. It is plastic. There's a higher failure rate for that, but I didn't necessarily have any issues with it. So I did use these all summer. I did start in March and April with skiing with these poles, and they performed okay for both skiing and trekking. And they've actually held up surprisingly well. I didn't use these in the Adirondacks when I was up there just because it's a recipe for disaster for these. I do believe that these are actually carbon fiber. And when there's a failure with carbon fiber poles, it tends to be pretty catastrophic. And the design of these I did not think was compatible with the high peak, so I definitely left them home and I opted to use my really old Black Diamond Trail Shock Pro. These performed, like I said, okay. They worked. I could trek with them. They didn't break. Sometimes I took them apart and collapsed them, but most of the time I left them like this. Specifically because I felt that the shock cord that they used in here was extremely cheap and at high risk for breaking. And in addition, the twist lock mechanism that tightens down here, you can tighten it all you want, it will come loose. And all things considered, even though these are collapsible, I just chose not to sort of lengthen their life. Even when you're trekking or when I was skiing, the vibration would be enough to loosen up the twist locks a little bit more on one of the poles than the other. So it would start to rattle and then I would have to stop and I'd have to twist it to tighten it. It was usually the bottom one that would get a little bit looser quicker, but that definitely was pretty irritating. I think I only paid 40 bucks for these. For 40 bucks, if you're on a budget and you need something that folds down like a Z fold and your expectation is these are not going to last very long, this is a solid pole. The grips were a little bit beefier than what I was accustomed to, so they were very comfortable to hold on to. I definitely appreciated the cork grip up here, and then it has EVA foam down here. And yeah, like I said, they did work. The other thing that slipped was this part of the handle, so I'd have to stop and tighten that, otherwise my hand would just, you know, sort of start to migrate down. But other than that, like I said, they're a pair of budget poles, and if you need something like this, I would probably opt for the Cascade Mountain Tech, just the regular telescoping poles. I think those are probably a pretty solid bet. I've heard great things about them. This is just, I mean, I'll give it like a 2.5 out of 5. It did work. It worked as advertised, and they haven't broken yet. So I'll give it that. I probably ended up getting about 100 miles on these, which is pretty decent. But again, a lot of rolling terrain, nothing too crazy on this. So if they work, then why did I replace my poles? I love those Distance FLZ poles. They are incredibly light. Now, when I got these, and I did get a discount on these, but I purchased them through Black Diamond, and that was after talking to one of the reps at work. I really needed the beefier nature of these poles. So these are actually the Pursuit FLZ. They do weigh a little bit more than the Distance FLZ, but at the time that I purchased these, the newer Distance FLZs were not available in my size. So I had a choice of this, which I also was not a fan of this color. I wanted, like, it was like a light mint green or seafoam green. It was actually pretty. It was basically the same color as my Durston X-Mid Pro 210. So sad that they don't match my tent, but whatever, it's red, they're gonna get scratched up. But I really did need something that was sturdier, something that I could take on a plane confidently and fly with and know these are not going to break while I'm using them. So I definitely was sad because the Pursuit FLZ, and so far as I could tell, the newer Distance FLZ didn't come in the old size that I was accustomed to. My old poles were 105 to 120, maybe 125, and these are 110 to 125. That 5 centimeter difference does make a difference to me. I prefer a 105 pole when I'm trekking, but when I'm skiing, I use a 110 to 115. And then for my non-freestanding tent, I needed to go up to 120, 125. So I did lose, you know, a little bit of that. So there's been a little bit of a learning curve on that for me because it just feels different when I'm using the poles, but I'll get used to that eventually. Otherwise, these work similar. The other ones did have a different locking mechanism here. This one is a little push button. The flick lock is plastic and metal. It works just fine. I don't know if you heard that, but it's a little tough to slide. Like, I feel like the other ones just didn't stick as much, and that just could be something because they're new. I don't really know. But I do feel confident in using these that they are not gonna break, and they easily break down, and there's no slippage with these. Once you lock it in place, that's it. It's locked in place. So that is absolutely a massive upgrade. Is it worth the extraordinary price difference of $110 to go from the other poles to this? Only if you really care about it. If you can't afford something like this, then don't buy something like this because you can get alternatives. It's just that these, for me, are very light. They do come in, I'll put the specs down below here. These are heavier than the Distance FLZ. Again, these are the Pursuit FLZ. They do have cork and EVA foam handle with a beefier strap. All around, this is a slightly beefier pole. This also is better compatible for winter skiing, which is why I went with this, because I will be able to use these while skiing. They do come with snow baskets, and that's pretty much that. So I can definitely keep you posted on these, but suffice it to say, I'm sure that these will last quite a while as long as I don't leave them in the snow for somebody to step on. So I'm thinking of retiring the Cascade Mountain Tech poles for now. My daughter likes to use trekking poles. They are absolutely perfect for her because they're lightweight. And if Emily goes hiking with me, which she sometimes does when it's not too buggy out, that's a great pole for her to use because it's easy to use, it's lightweight, and it has some basic features. And she's not necessarily going to care if it rattles a little bit. She's just going to be happy that she has a pair of poles. Hopefully they don't break and they don't shatter and she doesn't hurt herself with it. But Emily actually took these out on their maiden voyage because she saw them and she liked the bright red color. But I've been using them lately and I have been really happy with them. So these Cascade Mountain Tech poles, I guess I was a little surprised that they lasted as well as they did, and they still look really good. You know, just 3 weeks of use and I've got scrapes all over these, but again, these are aluminum. That red is just like on the outside, so I do expect those to get scraped up about as much as my old pair, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. But yeah, all things considered, these are working. So I'm gonna say that these surprised me. I thought that they were gonna be a hot, steamy pile of doo-doo, and they work. Again, if you're looking for a pair of budget poles, there's probably other ones out there that maybe don't have this twist lock feature down here and up here. The twist lock is always going to be a failure point in my opinion, so these will just continue to get light use until they are at the end of their usable life. And that's all. I did want to make an update video because I definitely kind of trashed these when I got them, but yeah, they're trekking poles and they work. How much you decide to spend on trekking poles, that is totally up to you. There's a lot of different brands out there. I suggest you do your research and you find something that works for your wallet and your hikes. So that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. You guys take care, and it's finally fall, even though it's almost 75 today. Somebody's gonna shut the heat off soon. I just know it. You guys take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.